Welcome to the 2023 edition of Trieste Next. I'm Luca, an AI-generated speaker who will be presenting our festival. In the next 3 days, we will be talking about a new world. This is the title of the 12th edition of our Festival of Science. Innovation and research, the ethical limits and new frontiers of science will be the center of all our events. What will the new world be like? Will we be able to face the challenges of the near future applying new scientific discoveries and technologies in a sustainable way? This will be the underlying theme of Trieste Next, with 100 events in English and Italian, the Science Book of the Year Literary Award, 300 speakers, 70 activities for schools and 40 exhibition spaces that are open for everybody in the city center close to the town hall. Before leaving the floor to our next panelists, I would like to thank all the scientific institutions within the Trieste City of Knowledge Network, the main partner together with our content partners and sponsors for supporting our project. Mostly, thank you to the 200 volunteers who are helping us. I have one last remark for all of you. The next event will last 75 minutes. Our speakers will answer all of your questions in the final 15 minutes. Also, please remember to check the updated schedule of events on our website. Thank you and enjoy our festival.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming to this session related to medical physics. Because all this started with artificial intelligence, I just want to tell you that artificial intelligence was introduced in medical physics, one of the first sciences which introduced it years ago. So, in this panel, we shall speak about a very important part of the life, and this important part is the science which links physics with medicine. And why we are talking about this here in Trieste? Many people do not realize that for the medical physicists around the world, Trieste is the hub of medical physics. Because here come almost every student from almost every low and middle income country to be taught in the field of medical physics. Because here in Trieste is a unique link between the ICTP, the International Center for Theoretical Physics, and the University of Trieste, and this links creates the only course in the world which is specific for medical physics for colleagues from low and middle income countries. And we are very fortunate to have here with us the lecturer, Professor Longo, Dr. Brigand, Dr. Marco Esposito, Dr. Renato Padovani. Of course, we have to mention Professor Luciano Bertocchi, the colleagues from the hospital. These are the people who are creating this course together with a network of 27 Italian hospitals who are training these students. This is unique in the world, and these people are doing this for free. And then comes a question, why medical physics is so important? Well, it is important because what has now one hospital is predominantly equipment, and this equipment helps the doctors to reach the diagnosis or to treat the people. I very often joke with my students that the place of medical physics in the hospital is exactly like the place of the orchestra in the opera. You don't see it, it is down there. But without it, there is no opera. So we have to now see how physics and technology totally revolutionized contemporary medicine. Medical physicists are the people who deal with computed tomography, the people who deal with nuclear medicine, with radiotherapy, and radiotherapy is the most effective way to treat cancer. These days, one of the biggest problems in society related to cardiac diseases and pathologies is very much decreased because of the interventional radiology. And interventional radiology is the tool which is based on the fluoroscopic equipment and so many other devices around it. And we very often, most of us have cars, we very often think about who will take care for our car, who is the best technician for our car. We do not think who cares about this huge equipment. And the CT scanners, the medical imaging equipment like magnetic resonance imaging, etc., these pieces of equipment are second in complexity only after the aerospace technology. So the people who deal with this are medical physicists, and these people are actually about 30,000 around the world at the moment. We are a relatively new profession, and this profession grows up. My name is Professor Slavik Tabakov. I'm from King's College London. I'm the president of the International Organization of Medical Physics, the past president, and the current emeritus president of the International Union of Medical and Engineering, Medical Physics and Engineering. This union unites 150,000 people around the world who work with this equipment. And this equipment is extremely important, as I said. It is so important that when in 2001 the biggest award for science and engineering in the United States was given, this is the United States Award for Science, this was given to the sciences, to the parts of sciences which contributed most during the 20th century. And which were these two most important activities for the 20th century, according to all the American scientists? These were, number one, internet, the people who invented internet, and everybody will agree that now we cannot live without internet. And number two was the pacemaker, because so many people now continue to live because of the pacemaker. And medical physics is so important that probably you do not realize that the Nobel Award started because of medical physics. Nobel Award number 1 was given to Röntgen, but it was not given for the discovery of the X-rays. The X-rays were known at that time. They were given because he applied the X-rays into medicine. And this created a totally new view about the human body. Another Nobel Award, which was given in 1978, was for the invention of the computed tomography. Computed tomography was something that was invented nearby here in 1918 by a scientist called Radon. He was at that time from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This scientist invented this mathematical theory, but nobody was able to introduce this into practice. He died in 1948 without seeing that his theory will be so much important later on. And when the computers were invented in 1960s, this theory immediately came into power. And through this theory, it was able now to see inside the human body without opening the human body. And that is something of extreme importance for medicine. So these are the areas which are related to medical physics. I may speak for many other things, but there are so many things of life which actually are based on medical physics, and you do not know it. The very word pixel, which we now use for every computer, for every mobile phone, it comes from computed tomography. It was invented there. There are other things, the small chips, which are now the chips in every digital camera to taking photos. The chips started to be produced because of the X-ray digital detectors. But they were so big at that time. Now this technology was reduced. And there are many, many other things which I shall not speak in more detail. So medical physics is now part of the life which is incomparable to everything else. Due to this reason, when in 2005 in South Africa, in the city of Durban, was the biggest conference for physics. 2005 was the year of physics of the world. This conference gathered all ministers of education from the world. This was a UNESCO conference, And it was co-organized by ICTP, your ICTP here from Trieste, and also by IOMP, the International Organization for Medical Physics, which I was represented there. And we joined forces and we presented our case to this huge conference, and this huge conference decided that for the 21st century there will be 4 areas of applied physics which will be specifically funded because they are so important for life. Number 1 was physics and climate. Everybody will agree that this is very important. Number 2 was physics and medicine. And this is what we're talking about today. Number 3 was physics and education, because in the education we need to have more physics. Physics is not just physics. This is not just formulas. This is philosophy. This is way how you see the life around you. And number 4 was physics and business, which was how the physics will be transferred into our everyday life. So these 4 areas were funded for specific, were approved for specific funding from all institutions around the world. You do not see that, but when it comes to the area of United Nations, from there UNESCO, from there goes to the European Union and other areas, and there are specific funding associated with that. And part of this funding was the areas of the e-learning, and probably you have never heard that e-learning, the first e-learning, and actually the first e-books in the world were invented by medical physics. Today, everybody of us will have a Kindle with electronic book to read. But actually the first materials we did in a project, European project of medical physics. I am from King's College London. As you guessed from my name is Slavik Tabakov. I was born in Bulgaria. I am British, but I was born in Bulgaria. And in this huge project took part ICTP as a member, University of Firenze, Florence, University of Lund, University of Lisbon, King's College London, we were the leading university, and the University of Nancy in France and Grenoble in France. So we created the concept of e-books, and this was necessary because we had to introduce this into medical physics. And we had to introduce it in medical physics because this is such a dynamic profession. Almost every year there is something new. And this something new, for example, at the moment, is the specific angiographic assessment of the vessels of the body with magnetic resonance. Until that moment, if someone has a disease of the blood vessels, it was necessary to inject specific solution inside the body, and this specific solution will be seen either with magnetic resonance or with CT scanner. So you do not see the blood vessels, you see what is inside the blood vessels, this solution, which could be based on iodine or it could be based on some magnetic material. Now, there is a new invention which allows to visualize the blood and the movement of the blood without injecting anything. And this is based on magnetic resonance because the vector of every single atom inside our body will move in a different way if this atom is moving or if this atom is static. So in this case, we are seeing the moving atoms and they are the blood. And you see the whole bloodstream without anything else. So these are new things which have to constantly come, and we need to have a new way of education to constantly give to our colleagues from medicine new methods, and we have to explain to our colleagues how to use these methods, how to work with this equipment, how to use this software. And when we were doing that, it was obvious that in the world, the need of medical physics is growing rapidly. According to the World Health Organization, at the moment, by 2035, so almost after 12 years, we have to be 60,000 medical physicists around the world in order to be able to support sufficiently the healthcare. I mean, in every country. But what is the case? Is this equal distribution of medical physicists around the world? No. In the UK, we have 30 medical physicists per million. Italy is the second largest medical physics association in Europe, and it is about 20 medical physicists per million. In the whole of Europe, it's about 10. In the United States and Canada, it's about 25 medical physicists per million. But in Africa, it's 0.5 medical physicists per million. And due to this reason, we had to work with this course in Trieste, this unique course, in order to train more people to start to work in their own countries. So this is the main goal of this course, which the course now is making its 10th year, and for 10 years the course has educated 200 medical physicists from 70 countries. And 95% of them are going back into their countries in order to support their country, to increase the medical physics activities in this country, and to help the healthcare in this country. Because if there is no medical physicist now in one country, there is no radiotherapy, there is no imaging, full stop. And if there is no radiotherapy and there is no imaging, there is no medicine. This is the situation. So in this panel today, we have gathered colleagues who are all from these countries who have graduated this course, and then they now have started working for their countries based on the knowledge they have received here in Trieste. And the International Organization of Medical Physicists, IUMP, where I was president before, is extremely grateful to this course, and this was the first course which we accredited as the course which is able to supply this education all over the world to the other colleagues. So in our panel now, we have colleagues from Asia, from Africa, and from Latin America. And they shall present you their case, what is the situation in their country, because this is very important to see how actually the result has been created. That is why you have worked so many years, 10 years work, and now you see the results. Because in education, the results are coming very slow. Making education gives you results after 10 years. It is something like building a garden with trees. You plant the trees, you see the garden after 20 years. So the same is here. And the first colleague to speak will be from Asia. Asia is the largest continent with the largest population of people. At the moment, in Asia, there are 6,500 medical physicists. You would say this is a lot. But if you divide this to the billions of people who live in Asia, this is less than 2.5 per million. And if we go to some of the small countries in Asia, the situation is even worse. And Mr. Surendra Chand is a medical physicist from Nepal. You know Nepal, the highest mountains, the Himalayas, etc. But the people who live there have exactly the same diseases as the people everywhere in the world. So I'm giving now the floor to Mr. Surendra Chand to explain you what is the situation in Nepal, what is the medical physics there, what is his work in Nepal after he has graduated this course here. Surendra, please.
Thank you, Professor Slagik. My name is Surendra Chand. I am working as a medical physicist and radiation safety officer in BPKM Lomé Memorial Cancer Hospital, Bharatpur. It is near capital city of Kathmandu. Before starting the medical physics status in Nepal, I want to go a little bit the radiotherapy development in Nepal. We have started radiotherapy in Nepal in 1991, starting with the cobalt-16 teletherapy machines that was installed in Kathmandu. That time we have only, there was no medical physics courses at that time also. So after doing a master in physics and after short training in some hospitals, he started to service, he started work as a medical physics there. And after then, in 2000, around 2000, we have a good negotiation with government, and we get one to establish one good centers, radio cancer centers. So in 2000 we got 2 linear accelerator machines, 1 cobalt machines, 1 brachytherapy machines, with the simulator and dosimetry equipments. So we started with linear accelerator in 2001 to start radiotherapy in Nepal. Now in present conditions, we have around 10 linear accelerator machines, 3 cobalt machines. Linear accelerator machine, they are in advanced latest modalities, for example 2 beams and Versa SD levels, and only 1/3% are in the conventional types of. Some are under installations, some are maybe 3 to 4 months they will be started servicing. Since we have 10 machines, but our population is around 30 millions. So in WHO, I think WHO suggested in 10 million, in 1 million, one machines. So we have almost 0.33 machine per million of the populations, who are still lacking in the radiotherapy machines. About medical physics status, we don't have any education, medical physics, university degrees, university education system. So to fill the medical physics demands, normally people themselves, students themselves go to abroad to study, to pursue the degree of medical physics, then come back and works our service in the Nepal. Now we are almost 20 medical physics working in Nepal. Most are graduated from outside. Some are still who are the seniors, they are working only with their training program only, not they have a formal education training programs, training degrees. And about medical physics services, we have established our Medical Physics Association in 2009. That time we were only 7 medical physicists. So we thought for the link with other worlds and with cooperation and this other benefits, we established this association in 2009. That is really helpful to link to other worlds, other countries. Now about, let me see, just talk about my career. I have started my career in 2006 in medical physics. That one, before starting my career, I have got an opportunity to participate of one course, College in Medical Physics. In that time I was a student, I was doing my thesis in biomedical physics, in MSc physics, and there is one biomedical also one topics. And at the thesis period I was here for medical college and medical physics program. It was really helpful. Then after that I got motivated. What is medical physics? Then what is the importance of medical physics? And after returning and after short training, I started my career with as a medical physicist. And then in 2014, I applied for the medical physics program, master in medical physics program. That is jointly organized by University of Trieste and ICTP. I got chance, and in 2016 I was graduated from here. Now, what is the impact of this program, a master in medical physics program, in my life and in my country? Before I was working at medical physics, but the confidence level is little bit not that levels. When you are working only for something learning or self-learnings, the confidence level is not that level. So if you got chance to get the courses and to work with the experienced department, experienced physicists, then you get the high level of confidence and you have a very sharp knowledge as well. So after returning, I got highly confident myself, and I got chance to my country, even my department, since we are 6 medical physicists in my department. I got chance to do, or I got responsibility, not chance, responsibility I will say, to do the commissioning, even before commissioning, to make a specification what types of machine should we buy, why we should buy this types of machine. That is most important. So making the specification, doing the exception test, doing commissioning, these are the very important part for medical physics also. I got those chances and I did very successfully. For example, I was able to commission the clinic IX machine, brachytherapy machines, even new CT simulator. Recently, I did the latest two beam machines, commission of two beam machine, starting new technologies, SBRT, SRS, gated deliveries. So this is not only for myself, this is the a level of confidence from this course I got through. Another things, I get some chances of the teaching activities, for example, radiation protection, radiation safety, and medical physics, some level. Those are organized by the Ministry of Science and Technology. Science and Technology do believe only those people who are really expert and who they think they can give some contribution. So I am involving on that also. And some university thesis students, I also do supervision them. So after this master's course, I really benefited, not only me, not only my department, patients also are benefited. When you go do the good or precise planning and delivery planning, then patient also good do benefits. That's why it is really good opportunity to be as a master's student here. Also, I would like to thank who have created this idea of master's programs, who have designed this idea of master programs to help the people or to help the countries of lower or middle incomes. So I finally, thanks to University of Trieste, ICTP, as well as the International IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, for giving me this opportunity for to be here as well for the master's program. Thank you.
Thank you, Surendra. This was very important to see how this program and the training in the Italian hospitals is helping one whole country. And they are growing up. The number of medical physicists in Nepal is growing up. And actually, they have several people who have been in the activities of ICTP here. Even the current president of the Nepal Association also has been here in Trieste. The next colleague to speak will be from Africa. Africa at the moment is in the very difficult situation with the number of medical physicists, but it is rapidly growing. When we established the African Federation of Medical Physics in 2009, this was in Morocco, that's what we did, there were only 300 medical physicists in the whole of the continent. So now, about 13 years after that, there are 1,100 medical physicists. So that means this number is increasing. But it is not the same in all countries. There are a lot of medical physicists in South Africa, but in other countries there are very few. And most of them are actually graduating from this course in Trieste, the University of Trieste and ICTP. And Mr. Eyakifama Hazou will give you some idea about how this course had helped the medical physics in Togo. Togo is a small country in the West Africa, and if you like your hot chocolate, which is usually from Netherlands, you have to know that about 1/3 of the cocoa beans are coming from Togo. So it is a country which is just a narrow strip close to the sea, and in this country there are at the moment just several medical physicists. And Eyakifama is one of these, graduated this course, and he will now give you some idea about how is medical physics there, what is the radiotherapy activities, and how he has benefited from the course.
Thank you, Professor Slavik, for giving me the floor. My name is Hazou Eyakifama from Togo. I graduate first on physics. I have a master's degree, and after I applied for a PhD degree, I made a PhD in nuclear physics, in environmental radiation monitoring, just in Ljubljana here at Joseph Stefan Institute. Then I was there to collect environmental samples and try to analyze them, and using gamma ray spectrometry in order to detect all radionuclide inside the samples. And during this stay, I made 3 publications, and all of them at the end, we just conclude that there are an exposition which can affect the population and increase the level of incidence of cancer. Then, when I finished this PhD, I tried to know if I told people after my study that they are exposed and they have cancer, how do they get a solution? And then I look in the site of ICTP. Also, it is ICTP who helped me to go at the Joseph Stefan Institute to do that. And I see there are medical physicists which help doctor in order to overcome this disease. And I apply, and by chance, it is a chance, and they select me. And I was here on the 7th cycle of MMP in COVID time, 2021. And I do my first year as everybody at Trieste here, where we spend a full year, and the second year I was in Ancona Hospital, which are close to the sea, like Trieste. And there after 1 year, I just make a thesis on total body radiation. I said if someone is exposed, I have the same idea I have last time when I do in my PhD. If someone is exposed, is completely exposed, then how to give him a help, then you have to maybe sometimes irradiate all the body, and that's what I have done, and conclude the my stay of medical physicist in Italy. And just after, I returned back home. But once I returned back home, as he used the best word, it is difficult for us. The first time the Elector Society told the director of the hospital, if you need to implement a radiotherapy department, you need a medical physicist. And the director asked him, what physicists have to do in the hospital? And then they tried to explain them, and just called, they said that they know that there are some person who have just finished and come back, then they will ask him to go and help them manage all the center, and we start working together, implementing like shielding calculation for the wall, and so on. Then in Togo, actually, we have just one private center of radiotherapy, and when they start, really, there are no medical physicists from Togo. Then they try to look around, and they find a medical physicist from Ghana. They have a regional or national course there to make a medical physicist, but as we know, the second year or the last year for the clinical training is not very good, because you need a hospital where you have to have a long time of stay and need a lot of techniques in order to be sure to work in this area. Then they still using the medical physicists around, and now we are at least 3. There was, I have a younger who come back, I think the first or second cycle of this MMP, and after me. And the third one was the lady, she's in the second year for the moment. And all of us think to go back and try to implement it at the national level. For the moment, we try to see each other with West Africa countries to make a regional project for medical physicists in order to see how we can locally make like a training or like vulgarization of medical physicists in order to let like a politician or those who have the financial part to know the importance of the medical physicist in the nuclear medicine or radiotherapy department. And like Prof. Slavik said, we have like half medical physicists for million of people in Africa, and the case of cancer are growing also. And then the machine used for those who start earlier, they use cobalt, but in my country there are no cobalt used. When we can find it close in Ghana, in Cameroon, you can find some people still using cobalt for the moment. Then for what about the eyes I told you just now, you see that all what I have done is due by the help of ICTP. There are nothing, just once I finish the master degree in physics, I just look to other things to overcome nuclear physics, medical physics. Then all of these are done by the help of ICTP. And once you put ICTP on the site, Trieste will be there. Then Trieste Nest was a very exciting event to thank Trieste people for the hospitality, for hosting us. Every time it's not very easy, but they try to manage themselves, because you see new people, you don't know him, sometimes to give him a room is not easy. Then they try to do their best, and we are thanking them. And also all professors who are here, they do their best to join people from different countries. Every student have his own culture, then they have to manage themselves for 1 year before going to clinical training somewhere. And me, I was very lucky. In Ancona, I still have collaboration with my supervisor there, and if I ask a recommendation or something to them, they have just doing it in a few days, and then I take the opportunity to thank everybody, and not forgetting the agency IAEA for providing sometimes the financial support for each of us which are present far from our country. And by this, I thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Eyakifama. This is very interesting because you see that Africa is a huge continent, and in order to populate this continent with specialists, we have to educate people like him and like others from other countries so they can start their courses in this place. So we have to teach them not only to do medical physics, but also how to prepare the activities in this country. And he explained what kind of situation he had to face, building a bunker for linear accelerator for radiotherapy. I mean, you don't know what is this. This is huge. There's so much concrete there. And everything has to be calculated. It is not just much concrete. It should be the exact type of concrete and the exact thickness of concrete. Because if it is not, this is a big problem for the population who live around. So all these are activities which are not just the equipment. It is a lot around the equipment. The cost of the equipment in one hospital is about 1/3 of the cost of everything else associated with the room which are prepared, with the staff, with the consumables, etc. So our next speaker, last but not least, is a lady. And it is very good that about 1/3 of the students in medical physics here in Trieste are actually ladies. And medical physics, the International Organization of Medical Physics, is encouraging women to enter into this profession. Due to this reason, in 2012, we decided that the patron of medical physics will be Maria Skłodowska-Curie, or as we call her, Marie Curie. Because she did a lot about radiation, and radiation is a significant part of the work with medical physics. So the next speaker will be Maria Elena Morales Landin. She is from Peru in Latin America. And in Latin America, if you count from Mexico to the end of Argentina, you have about 1,500 medical physicists. So this is a small number. And there are a lot of people living there. And specific problem in South America is the fact that they are scattered. There are big cities here and there, and then smaller cities in this huge area. And the same is in Peru. I mean, we know Peru like the country of the Incas, etc., the Inca civilization, but they have the capital, and then there are some other cities around, and all these have to be populated in order to provide better healthcare, especially in the area of treatment of cancer, radiotherapy. So, Maria Elena, please.
Good morning. My name is Maria Elena Morales Landin. I am medical physicist from Peru. Now I am working in a center of radiotherapy, INEN, called Instituto Nacional de Enfermedades Neoplasicas, or Instituto Nacional Disease Neoplasticas in Lima, Peru. I work in a hospital. We have 6 machines, treatments, and accelerators. With these machines, we could irradiate the patient who has cancer. Has the doctor locate the tumor, and with these treatment machines, you can irradiate the tumor, no? and save the life for the patients who has cancer. Also in my work, we have many techniques like brachytherapy, BMAT, also radiosurgery. Maybe this word is confused, but I think that all the people need to know about science and try to understand that in simple words, because it's very important. I don't know, some of you or our families maybe someday could be a president of the country, and when the authorities need to buy or to know what they need to do, we need to realize that the cancer is increasing, and in our countries, in our world, we need more treatment machines, we need more open radiotherapy centers, because we need to fight with the cancer. Because in some countries, many or maybe there is no enough treatment machines to do that. In my country, we are 66 medical physics. You know that picture. My country is in Peru, in south of America, on the left and down, and we are like almost 35 millions of people. But we are only 66. If you divide 35 and divide in 66 divided in 35, almost is only two medical physicists per million. But imagine, before I coming here in Trieste in 2016, I was working in Costa Rica. You saw Central America. Costa Rica is very small. It's in south of Nicaragua and north of Panama. If you want to maybe compare it, Costa Rica is like or Lima. I live in Lima. I was born in Lima. Costa Rica is similar. It's the same. It's like Lima. And in Costa Rica, the population is about 5 millions of people. And now, since God, they have almost 36 medical physicists. But when I was working there in Costa Rica, only was two medical physics. And in this year, they didn't have program master degree in medical physics. But 3 years later, they opened 2 master in medical physics. Now in my country also we have a program in medical physics. Also we have an association in medical physics. And next year, maybe, we are going to open a second specialization in medical physics, because our problem is sometimes that we are not recognized as medical physics. Maybe yes, because you have your association, but in undeveloped countries, sometimes the doctor is here and medical physicists are here in the salary. In Costa Rica it's the same, but some countries no, think is different. But it's okay. For this reason, my colleagues decide next year try to study again and open a second specialization. I am very grateful for the opportunity that ICTP, International Center of Theoretical Physics, and the University of Trieste, also AA and other institutions and organizations, because in my case I didn't have the scholarship for IAA, but Professor Luciano Bertocchi told me that they are going to find a scholarship for me. In this opportunity, maybe I could afford not all, but maybe 50% of the scholarship, because I was working in Costa Rica, and I was working only with one cohort. and I wanted to work with more advanced equipment of treatment, like to do accelerator, do radiosurgery. Because when I was in Peru, before coming to Costa Rica, I met, I don't know if Daniel Venencia. I was working with him in Chile, and I tried to do something like a commission of accelerators or maybe radiosurgery with cones. Because when you maybe, but some person has cancer, you use cones to treat these tumors and irradiate the brain. And this is important because in my country, sometimes there is a public institutions, but not too much, and there is a lot of private institutions. And we need to realize that some persons, the majority don't have money to treat these treatments or to afford. And maybe if you have money, it's not good to buy your house to treat your patient or your family that has cancer. For the reason, I want to pray and say God, in my country, I would like someday that treatment cancer need to be free, and all the person need to have the opportunity to have a good quality of treatment, because it's cancer, and we need to fight with that. And also I want to talk about in this master, you have the opportunity, the first year you do a theoretical course, is a lot of knowledge, and the second year you have the opportunity to go around Italy and try to do a training of medical physicists and working with medical physicists, that this medical physicist is in the tops of their careers, and this person share their knowledge. They don't say no, you don't know nothing, and they share. And this is the good, and it's a new vision of that I need to learn, because we are from India, Africa, Latin America, Europe, and we are connected. We are network that try to improve our knowledge and share to they come back our countries and contribute in our countries with good professionals, and share with our colleagues and try to have a good quality of controls. Our job is also is important, because when you work in Center of Radiotherapy, you have a team of work, and all we are important. The doctor, the nurse, the person who cleans the hospital, all are important, because with our objectives is do a good quality of control of the patient. For that reason, I am very happy to be here. Also, I did my master in medical physics in 2016 to 2017, and this is I am very grateful to ICTP, because with this program you have you do a good opportunity, a big opportunity to persons in the world to have an opportunity to study this master MP in medical physics, and meet people, and then try to have a good networking in this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria Elena. As she mentioned, it is very important that these activities are creating a network of people, network from all over the world, colleagues who could contribute and to work together. And this network is related to this master course, but also the other activities which ICTP is doing in the field of medical physics. This is the College on Medical Physics, which has started in 1988. I'm one of the co-directors. And the College on Radiotherapy, which was just this week here in the ICTP. Professor Renato Padovani is one of the directors of this college. But when we speak about so many people from so many countries, we have to see how it is to work with these different people. It is not easy to work with these different people. I regret that we do not have here with us Professor Luciano Bertocchi, who is the doyen of medical physics in Trieste, and without him we wouldn't have this medical physics. What is Trieste now? The medical physics in the world is in Trieste. But we can acknowledge him, and before giving the floor to everybody, I would like to give the floor to the two founding directors of this activity, of the master course, Professor Renata Longo and Professor Renato Padovani, to say several words about how they work with people from so many countries. This is also a skill. You have to take not only the knowledge, but also their feelings, their habits, etc. Renata, please.
I thank so much the chairman and the panelists, because the message was perfect. Chairing the master is a human experience, an academic challenge. The human experience is obvious because we have a lot of students, a lot of new colleagues. Harmonizing the community is not always very easy, so we have to train the people in living together with different language, different, well, I mean, it's not easy to understand that the same word coming from people coming from different countries have different meaning, and so they have to train themselves in find a good agreement, and this is the human adventure. The academic challenge is to find the tuning our academic program in order to train people in order to be able to run their work in the state of art of their country, but even they have to be ready to run the new technology that are coming, and so this is the other academic challenge. And then it's a pleasure to discover that the Italian medical physicist community are very kind in order to share this challenge, because during the training the students go to more than 20 hospitals that also one student during 1 year as a training, and that's very, very, very interesting. Okay, we take some time in finding the good portfolio, but it's a pleasure. However, I would like to add, and if Professor Tabacco let me invite another lady in this position, because we are very, very happy that the graduate students are organized as in alumni association, because the network, the international network for us is very, very important. Maria Elena says in a very, very good way that the network between the graduate and the network between the graduate and the supervisor are very important in their state-of-art everyday work. So if Vara would like to come here.
Thank you, Professor Renata, for inviting me today. The panel, my name is Farah, I'm from Tunisia, and I'll be presenting today our Alumni Association. As the panel today is a worldwide medical physics network, so what we are trying to do through this Alumni Association is to create a global network of our graduates and to do a link between the academic world and the professional world. So we basically start with the help of Professor Renato Padovani. We start doing a survey. We saw that there is a need of this association. So we created this association. We elected 10 members, an acting board, and we start doing a few webinars. The first 2 webinars were just about how the impact of the MMP program in the country of the people who went back. So we get to see the direct impact of this program. And then the third webinar that we start actually sharing research of our graduates. And to tell you the truth, I'm very proud of what they are doing. And I hope in the future, Professor Tabakov, you will be our speaker one day. Yes. And we open more doors to our graduates. We get to link them with the big bosses of the world of medical physics. And that's it. Basically, we are at the beginning of this alumni association. And I hope we get bigger, we get better. And I hope we have an impact, because that's the point of this association, is to have an impact. And thank you so much. That's it. That's the project. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Slavik, for inviting me. So I think you have understood today, the enthusiasm you have here from Slavik, the beginning, all the students, all the participants. So I can say also that from my side, my experience, I worked for almost 40 years in a hospital, in the Udine hospital. Then I joined ICTP, to develop together with Renata and Bertocchi this program. I can say that it was quite easy. So you have so enthusiasm in the teachers, so motivations in the students. You have very different levels, different education levels, different background, but the enthusiasm, the dedication, and the mission they accept to have then when they return back in the country is sufficient to overcome all the problems. And I can think that we are very proud of this. We have to thank ICTP because it's the right environment, is the mission of ICTP to support the countries. And of course, Trieste University was important. Hospital of Trieste is very important because it's supporting a lot of activities. And I can say that now with the large network of hospitals we have in Italy, so we have 26, 27, I can say that this activity, this action is supported by, I think, more than 200 medical physicists in Italy. So I can say it was easy. Thank you.
Thank you, Renato. Thank you, Renata and Farah. It is something, if we have to be grateful, we have to be grateful predominantly to the people from Italy, and especially in this corner of Italy and Trieste, because all this is done by institutions, but institutions are made by people. And if the people do not want to help others, nothing will happen. So you have now the floor. Do you have questions? Do you have some things which we could clarify or we could further explain? Please.
I thought that Dr. Morales mentioned before brachytherapy, if I'm not wrong. I wanted to know if there is this procedure in Lima. Thank you.
In Lima, in my hospital, we have procedures of brachytherapy. Brachy means is near, the source is near the patient, not near, is inside. For that reason, we have a treatment machine called brachytherapy, and is HDR. That means that is a highest dose rate, because in the past maybe you have to put implant or solve inside the patient, but these patients treat like many days because was low dose rate. But now is high dose rate. You don't have to treat the patient many days. Only is a few minutes. Depends the source. It's usually that you use iridium 192, but in some countries prefers cobalt 60. In my institute before was iridium 192, but now we decide have two machines with cobalt 60. It's only because when you need to buy this iridium, you need to buy every 3 months. I need to check. But sometimes, because in coming from the airport, maybe you wait sometimes, and for that reason, some countries and developing countries prefers cobalt 60. But the treatment is almost the same.
Thank you. Other questions? Please.
I have a question for panelists. What do you find most challenging once you come back from this program? Is it like funding from state, or is it like lack of resources, or lack of knowledge? Like once you come from such a place where you gain a lot of knowledge, you see what you can do, and then you come back to your country, where do you start from?
Can you
Since medical physics is not older one, it's a newer one, so people don't know what is medical physics. So if you ask for the training of medical physics, they say, why? What is medical physics? Why do you need this medical physics? Even I am working in the large center in medical physics. Only radiation oncologists and some radiologists, they know what is the role and responsibility of medical physics, not others. Even the medical oncology, other pathologists and other, they don't know. So if you ask some, financial support and other things, they say, you are not important persons. They don't know medical physics is the backbone of radiotherapy departments. So that's a little bit problem of the recognition of medical physics. That's why they prefer to give scholarship, for example, paid leave, scholarship during the study. They give salary also, or to other professions. But you ask, if you medical physics ask you, then for support they say no, you have to go yourself. For example, I'm here now. I'm using my own leaves. Where I have some cumulative leaves. Then I use that leaves to come here. That's why these little bit issues of the financial support. Even you return back. For example, for my master's program, when I was here in second cycle, that time, since I was a permanent employee of that hospitals, I come with my own leave, not even own leave, without any salaries. Even during 2 years, I didn't get any, 2 years is almost, I was like on leave. I was not like a staff of the hospitals. That is a little bit problem of developing countries. Thank you.
Eyakifama, can you say something?
Okay, thank you for the very interesting question. In our sides, in Africa, it is more difficult the first time to go to the hospital, but we manage ourselves. Once we are back, we try to make, one day I make a full presentation to explain all the steps of treatment in radiotherapy, and see that there are some steps medical doctor can't do it, like calculation, dose. You prescribe 2 gray for the patient. How do you know that the accelerator will give him exactly your 2 gray? Then you need someone, and for all the world, you can't make your bunker like other things of other department of in the hospital. Then sometimes it is complicated, but like we said, vulgarization or explanation, it become more easy to show them that there are an interesting place to give to the physician in the hospital. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria Elena, can you say something?
For me, is that I have the opportunity to do a treatment, the training in the second year, and then when I return my country work in my center of radiotherapy, but thinking that I have my job good with a good background. Sometimes it's difficult when you do a master degree, but then you don't have the opportunity to have the training like the doctors. For that reason, in some countries open the second scholarships, the second specialization in medical physics to have the opportunity to do the training. For me, this master, you have the opportunity to work with medical physics. And the challenges is that you need to apply your knowledge in the first year in the second years, and then we are working in your country, do the things good, and only know that you can verify the treatments with chamber machines, with ionization chambers, with the phantom, and this is important. In some countries, maybe there is master program degrees, but you don't have the opportunity or the time, because in the hospital there is many patients and maybe you don't have the opportunity that you have to train people. Like the doctors have a residence, like maybe 4 years to specialization in some topics. For this reason, for me, this master program is very important, because it's the have a new vision for that reason.
Thank you, Maria Elena. Well, I'm sure there are other questions, but we are now at the end of the session, and this was actually a very good question for the end. So to see how they are realizing, how the colleagues here are realizing their activities when they return back from Trieste to their own countries. And at the end of the session, I would like once again to thank everybody from Trieste, the municipality of Trieste, and the region, the unique ICTP and the University of Trieste, and of course everybody who takes part in this phenomenal activity supporting the healthcare in the world. Thank you for your attention.